y'all, it is Paula with Hillbilly Orchids. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody's having had a fantastic week. This will probably air next Friday. But I am watering this weekend, so this will actually be like a little ways ahead. But I got to thinking I was watering, and I figured, I kind of told you guys how I'm doing my Jack's nutrients over the winter. You cut it down because they don't need as much nitrogen and everything. So you cut down the ppms and, still kind of keeping it at the same 1-to-1 ratio, just cutting back from 200 to like 100, 150, 130 to 150 maybe, just depends. Sometimes the numbers just don't exactly match up when you're doing it, so I mean, like if it winds up going up to 150, no big deal. Maybe next week it'll only be 130, just whenever you mix it. It doesn't have to be spot on, so don't get all upset because it's not exact on the numbers. But and I did too tell you, like my vandas, I still continue. I soak them. I get them down while I'm watering. I soak them all day. Then I let them soak overnight. And then I take them out the next day and I hang them back up. And they get that once a week. Because like I can't water my vandas with like a sprayer or anything like that. I can't water them several times a day like that. So I will occasionally mist their roots if I'm, misting something else. I'll splash their roots down too, because vandas do love water. But in my grow space, being my spare bedroom, I can't just go, hog wild with water like as if it was, a greenhouse. So with that said, also, the way I water changes. I don't really soak them, especially if they've got like a lot of moss. Because I did switch some up with moss, and like I told you in the things to check for in the cold video, was like, because they're not wanting to dry out as fast now. You need to make sure they're drying quicker, and you don't want to soak them now. You don't, like, I might every 3 months soak them, during the winter when it's this cold. But otherwise, I do the pour through method, and I don't really let them soak unless I see the plant. I'm kind of reading my plant, and if I'm reading the plant and the plant looks like it needs to soak a little bit, then I'll let it soak for 10-15 minutes, maybe sometimes half hour. Just depends upon what I'm really thinking that plant needs. Sorry, I keep bumping the the camera. It's on the sink today because I'm going to show you this gorgeous Phalaenopsis odorion. This is a keiki that came off the mother plant that came from Justin. My buddy Justin's Orchids and More. Yes, this one came from him, and I love that Phalaenopsis. And when he sent it to me, I just thought I was going to come out of my skin. It's beautiful. And we're going to get to see it because, as you see, she's in spike. So, I have the fertilizer in my can that is just the 5-12-26. Because remember, I told you, if it's got a big spike that is, at least 2 inches, 3 inches long, then we switch over to just the 5-12-26 for these guys. But what I'm going to show you is this is what I do when it comes to winter watering. I just do a little pour through that side, a little pour through that side, and then I pop off the canister, let it drain down, and then I flush it back through again and let it completely go drain out. And that's it. I don't allow it to soak, because right now if stuff gets really wet and it stays too wet, then these phals are going to suffer. These phals will get crown rot, they'll get stem rot. I already had one accident, so I'm going to have to really watch my ones with the moss. Because too, I switched a bunch of them over this year. Now, had I left them in bark, I'd have been pretty much so fine. But because moss does not dry that well for me in my environment, I have that issue. So I have to watch the ones that are in moss. So let me see. Let me grab another one. Trying to be careful of that. I'll grab one from up here. This is that one I told you that the zygo is starting over, as you can plainly tell. She is starting over again. And you see the nice new growth coming up there. Looks good. So I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to pour a little bit around her. Just like that. Let it go down through. Bring it back up. Put it back through again, and that's it. Let it drain. Because if I'd let that moss really get soaked, this plant will not dry out in even 2 weeks. And you all know how bad that is. Everybody that has plants knows that, they got to dry out. And even at this time of year, you can't let them stay wet for 2 weeks at a time. It's just, you can't do it. So you have to watch and you have to be careful. I mean, I have circulating fans going all the time. So, you would think that would help dry it out. And I do allow heat to come in here at some, to some degree, but it's still not enough to actually dry these pots out, and especially deep down in the centers of these pots, those really stay wet and you just don't realize that they're not drying out. So, and I do still soak my mounts. My mounts are ones that definitely they need soaking once a week, but I don't soak them overnight. I actually I soak them when I'm doing that particular shelf. I'll take them down and I'll soak them, and then I will bring them back, drain them off, take them out of the water that they're soaking in, and I will hang them back up. So I do still soak them, but because mounts dry out, mounts don't really, even if they've got, a decent amount of moss on them, in a week's time hanging under high lights, they're going to dry out, guaranteed. It's no doubt. But the big question would be, yeah, if it's not drying out, then you don't need to water it as often either. So, you don't need to be soaking it in a bunch of water so that you can't get it dried out, because it's really important. They've got to dry out. I think I've stressed that pretty good to you guys. But right now, because that's just it. Right now it's so cold that, I mean, like, even if my grow space goes down to like 68 degrees, these guys are not wanting to dry out. So it's not good for them. So I need them to dry out in 3 to 4 days. I mean, I can't have them staying very wet very long. But if you kind of get the idea, and makes watering really easy, honestly. Once you get it poured through there, it's done. Then you just set it back on the shelf. And then again, the whole time too, as you're watering, you can look at all the leaves and check for bugs or anything else that's going on, and handle everything accordingly. Like I've said, if you're in the middle of watering and you run across spider mites, stop and clean that plant up. Stop right then and there, take your time and go clean that plant up. It's really important. You do it right then and there, then it's done, it's over with. And you don't have to go back and try to dig the plant out and take care of it. It's already took care of because you've got it out. So pretty much so that's basically how I water in the winter time. So if you all have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. If you could give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate it. If you could give me a share, that would be awesome. If you could give me a super thanks, that would be terrific. It will go to my foul wall and my Hoya wall. And yeah, that will do it for this video of how I water in the cooler temperatures in the winter. Which I wish winter was over already. It's been really cold, y'all. So I hope y'all stay warm too. That's another one. So, but with that said, I do appreciate each and every one of you beautiful, wonderful people stopping by and hanging out with me. And bye for now, y'all. Till we meet again.